English Elite Podcast.
You know that incredibly frustrating feeling you get when you're learning a new language. Let's say English, since that's what our source is about today. And I mean, on paper, you're a genius, right?
Oh, totally.
You can read the textbook, you know the grammar rules, you can conjugate verbs in your sleep. You feel ready.
Oh, right.
But then you walk into a coffee shop or you turn on a movie without the subtitles, and suddenly, nothing.
It just becomes, a wall of noise.
The wall of noise, exactly. It feels like they're cheating,
Yeah.
like they're skipping syllables or speaking at double speed. You catch a word here and there, but the rest is just a blur. It's honestly one of the most demoralizing feelings.
It really is. And you are definitely not alone in that. I mean, it's the classic gap between literacy reading and writing and actual fluency, which is all about real-time processing of sound. And honestly, that specific gap is where most adult learners just quit. They think, I've studied for 2 years. Why can't I order a coffee?
Well, today, we aren't just going to complain about it. We're actually going to dissect a solution.
Yeah.
We've got our hands on this really fascinating document. It's titled Mastering the Art of English Listening Awareness.
Right.
But here's the cool part. This isn't a textbook for students.
No, it's actually a production Bible. It's a set of internal guidelines for the creators of a project called the English Elite Podcast.
Exactly. It's basically the user manual for how to engineer audio content that sort of hacks the brain into learning faster. It's a blueprint for creators on how to help listeners overcome that listening anxiety.
And that's what I loved about this deep dive. We're really looking behind the curtain here. This document lays out the specific psychological and, tactical shifts needed to move a learner from that I can read it stage to I can actually hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, the rules they set for themselves are surprisingly strict.
They really are. So, okay, let's get into it. The document starts by defining the problem. It asks two massive questions. Why is listening so difficult?
Yeah.
And why do native speakers sound so fast?
And the answer it gives is, I think, crucial for anyone listening who feels stuck. It says the problem usually isn't that the speaker is actually speaking faster than you can read. The issue is something called processing lag.
I love that term.
Yeah.
Okay, break that down for us. What is processing lag?
Okay, so think about reading. When you read, you are the boss of time. You control the flow. If a sentence is tricky, you stop. You can reread it. You can look up a word.
Right.
Your brain has basically infinite buffer time to decode the meaning.
I can sit on one complex sentence for like 10 minutes if I want to.
Exactly. But in listening, the stream is relentless. The information keeps coming, whether you've processed the last bit or not. So here's the scenario. You hear a sentence. Your brain gets stuck on the third word. Maybe you're trying to remember if it's a verb or a noun. While you are thinking about that one word, the speaker has already said 10 more words.
And you've missed them completely.
You've missed them, and now you're panicked. And because you're panicked, you miss the next sentence too. It's a pileup.
Oh, it's like dropping a ball on a conveyor belt. If you bend down to pick it up, the belt keeps moving and things just start crashing into you.
That is the perfect analogy, and this document argues that the stress caused by that pileup is the primary barrier. It talks about how this creates a cortisol spike, and biologically, when you're stressed, your auditory processing actually shuts down.
You're kidding.
No, you literally hear less when you are afraid of missing out.
So the first big insight here isn't about vocabulary at all. It's about mindset.
Totally.
The source explicitly tells the creators, the people making this audio, that they have to reprogram the listener's brain about confusion.
Normalization of confusion. That's the phrase they use. I highlighted that like 3 times.
It instructs the hosts to remind the listener that confusion is part of learning, which feels wrong. I mean, in school, confusion usually means you're failing.
Of course.
If I'm confused in a math test, I am in trouble.
Right, but language isn't math. This blueprint argues that in language acquisition, confusion is just calibration. The source says, and I'm quoting here, your brain needs time to adjust to new sounds. Think of it like tuning an old analog radio. You have to go through the static to find the clear frequency.
Okay, I like that. I really like that.
So if you panic every time you hear static and you turn the radio off, you never find the signal. You just sit in silence. This document is trying to keep the learner from turning the radio off. It's reframing that lost feeling from I'm stupid to I'm buffering.
I'm buffering.
Yeah.
That is genuinely comforting. And to support that, the document talks a lot about creating emotional safety.
This part was fascinating to me. It explicitly forbids the content creators from sounding like formal teachers.
Yeah, the anti-professor approach. It says the tone has to be personal, welcoming, and not formal. Why is that distinction so important?
It all goes back to that cortisol we talked about. If you feel like you're being judged or tested, your brain goes into defense mode, you stop absorbing. And the document outlines these two host personas characters named Alex and Sophia, and their character descriptions are very, very telling.
I have those notes here. Alex is described as calm, clear, confident, and Sophia is warm, encouraging, patient.
Notice what's missing: strict, academic, demanding. None of that is there. Sophia is basically designed to be an emotional support coach for your ears. Her job is to lower that anxiety so the neural pathways can actually open up.
So step one is chill out. Stop trying to get 100% on the test, because there is no test.
Right. The goal isn't perfection, it's exposure.
Okay, so we've got the mindset, we're calm, we're ready to buffer. Now let's move to the mechanics. The source calls this the tactical toolkit, and honestly, some of this stuff seems almost too simple at first.
Deceptively simple.
But when you read the why behind it, it just clicks. The first tool is repetition. And I know everyone says practice makes perfect, but this is more specific. It says listening to the same clip multiple times.
This is the depth over breadth rule. And be honest, as a podcast listener, how often do you do this? When you finish an episode, do you immediately hit replay?
Never. I mark it as played and I move to the next one. I want new content. I'm a content binger.
We all are. We're information gluttons. But the source argues that for developing skills, that's completely the wrong approach. So here's the breakdown it gives. The first time you listen to a clip, your brain is just fighting for survival. You're catching the gist. Okay, they are talking about a doctor's appointment.
Right. Survival mode, just figuring out the context.
Exactly. But if you stop there, you haven't learned the language. You just solved the puzzle. But the second time you listen, you know the gist, you know the doctor's going to be late, so your brain relaxes.
Okay.
And now it frees up bandwidth to hear the details, the prepositions, the tense markers, the intonation.
And the third time.
By the third time, you aren't decoding anymore. You're actually anticipating. You're hearing the melody of the language. That is where fluency lives. If you only listen once, you never get to that third stage. You're always stuck in survival mode.
That makes so much sense. It's like watching a movie with a big twist ending. The second time you watch it, you see all the clues you missed because you aren't worried about the plot anymore.
Precisely. You can appreciate the craft because you aren't worried about what happens next.
Okay, now, this next tactic solves a massive debate in the language learning community. Subtitles. On or off? I feel like people fight about this constantly.
Yes, the subtitle toggle. And the answer from this source is both, but in a specific sequence.
Walk us through the sequence.
The document says you must listen without subtitles first. You have to force your ears to grapple with the raw sound. If you turn subtitles on immediately, your brain will just take the path of least resistance.
Which is reading.
Exactly. Your brain loves to read because it's easier than listening. If the text is there, you think you're listening, but you're basically just reading along with background noise. You aren't training your ears.
So the protocol is listen raw.
Yeah.
Struggle a bit.
Yeah.
Then turn the subtitles on.
Yes. Listen, struggle, guess. Then turn the subtitles on to verify. It connects the sound you heard, that blurry mess, with the clear text you know. It builds a bridge between the ear and the eye.
I like that.
It's like trying to solve a math problem yourself first, and then checking the answer key. If you just copy the answer key, you learn nothing.
Okay, this next one is my favorite because it feels the most ridiculous to actually do alone in your room. Shadowing.
Oh, shadowing is huge. It really is the closest thing to a magic bullet in this whole document.
So for the listener who hasn't heard of this, it's basically repeating what the speaker says while they are saying it. Like a parrot or an annoying echo.
It feels silly, I know, but it's incredibly effective. And here is why. It connects the motor cortex, the part of your brain that controls your mouth muscles, and the auditory cortex. Language isn't just data, it's physical. It's muscle movement.
So by moving your mouth, you're helping your ears.
100%. When you try to match the speed and rhythm of a native speaker, you are physically forcing your brain to process at their speed. You can't shadow effectively if you're translating in your head. There's no time. It forces you into the flow state.
I guess it also helps with that robot voice problem a lot of learners have. Hello, how, Are you?
Exactly, because when you shadow, you're mimicking the music, not just the words. You catch the emotion, the stress, the rhythm. You learn that how are you is actually pronounced how are ya.
Right. And speaking of how are you, the source also mentions speed control, literally slowing down the playback speed to 0.75x.
Which used to be impossible with cassette tapes, but now it's just a button on your phone.
But is that cheating? Cheating? Real people don't speak in slow motion. If I get used to slow audio, won't I fail in the real world?
It's not cheating, it's training wheels. Think about what we said earlier about words blending together. In spoken English, words are just glued to each other. Do you wanna becomes do wanna.
Right.
At full speed, that's just a blob of sound.
A sound blob.
A blob, but slowing it down lets you hear the seams. You can hear where one word ends and the next begins. You dissect the blob, and once your brain maps that do wanna equals do you want to, you can speed it back up and you'll still hear it.
Dissecting the blur. I like that. The final tool in the kit is keyword focus.
And this is for when you're out in the wild. The document advises, stop trying to hear every single word.
This goes right back to that perfectionism thing.
Yes, if you hear tomorrow, meeting, canceled, lunch, instead, you have the message. You don't need to panic because you missed the word the or has been. The instruction is to just anchor onto the nouns and verbs, let the rest go.
That is so liberating. It's giving yourself permission to ignore the filler words and just hunt for the meaning.
And ironically, once you stop panicking about the filler starts to become clearer because you aren't so stressed.
So we have the mindset, embrace confusion, we have the tactics, repetition, shadowing, speed control, keyword focus. Now let's talk strategy. Because the source has a very specific rule about how to apply this. They call it the gym rule.
Frequency over intensity.
I feel like this applies to everything in life, not just language.
It really does. But in language, it's biological. The source is explicit. Listening every day is better than listening once a week, even if it's just for 10 minutes.
So no weekend warriors.
It doesn't work. Synaptic pathways need constant reinforcement to stay active. If you do a 3-hour marathon on Sunday and then nothing until the next Sunday, your brain essentially prunes those connections during the week.
So you're just starting from zero every time.
Pretty much. The document actually gives a specific prescription here, a listener engagement plan. It's like a workout routine.
The 1-week challenge. I love this part.
Yeah, it's great. It says, choose one short audio clip. Listen to it at least 3 times. Practice 10 to 15 minutes daily. And just commit to 1 week.
Note the time limit. 1 week. Why is that so important?
It's all behavioral psychology.
Right.
If I tell you you need to study English every day for the rest of your life, you quit before you start, it's too heavy, it sounds like a prison sentence.
It's overwhelming.
But if I say, just try this for 7 days, it feels achievable.
It's bite-sized.
And it builds the habit loop. Once you do it for a week and you feel the progress, and you will feel it, you're much more likely to keep going. But you have to lower that barrier to entry.
Speaking of lowering barriers, let's talk about the anti-curriculum. This is the most surprising part of the source for me. There is a whole section of strict do-nots for the content creator.
For forbidden lists? Yeah.
It says, no complex linguistic terms, no grammar explanations, no technical jargon.
Think about how radical that is. An English learning guide that literally forbids explaining grammar.
I spent years in school diagramming sentences. This is the past perfect continuous tense.
And that's fine for passing a written test. But for listening awareness, it's a literal obstacle.
How so?
Well, when you label something, when you say that's a gerund or that's the subjunctive mood, you are engaging the analytical part of your brain. You are stepping out of the experience to analyze it. You can't be in the flow and analyzing the flow at the same time.
It turns it back into a math problem again.
Exactly. And you don't have time for math in a conversation. This source wants to strip away that whole meta layer. It wants you to experience the language as raw data, not as a set of rules. It wants you to feel it, not think about it.
It also mentions avoiding robotic speech. It says the hosts, Alex and Sophia, must use natural pauses.
This is a subtle but really key technical detail. A lot of learning materials are perfectly scripted. No ums, no ahs, no pauses.
Which sounds clean.
It sounds clean, but it's fake. It's a sterilized version of reality. And if you only train on sterile audio, real people sound chaotic.
Okay, that makes sense.
But on the flip side, you also can't just throw beginner into a noisy bar conversation right away.
So Alex and Sophia are the middle ground.
They're the simulator. They speak clearly, but they include the natural cadence of human speech. The pauses where they think, the slight intonations, It's designed to be a bridge between the textbook and the real world.
I also noticed they forbid background music and sound effects in the episodes.
Again, this is about signal-to-noise ratio.
Usually podcasts like ours, we love sound design. It keeps things moving.
For entertainment, sure. But for a beginner listener, music is just interference. It competes for your auditory attention. If you're trying to distinguish between can and can't, that tiny little "to" sound at the end, a drum beat in the background might just mask it.
Oh yeah, they strip it all down. Just the voice.
Minimalism. It allows for maximum focus. It trusts the brain's natural ability to find patterns if you just give it enough clear, calm input without all the distractions.
It's really a fascinating document because it treats the learner not as a student who needs to be taught facts, but as a biological system that needs to be optimized.
That's the perfect way to put it. It's biohacking for language. It's moving away from studying, which is analytical and dry, toward experiencing, which is repetitive, immersive, and safe.
So if we pull back, what are the big takeaways here? Not just for English learners, but for, anyone trying to process complex information. Because frankly, listening to this makes me think about learning to code or starting a new job in a technical field.
The principles are absolutely universal. I think the core philosophy is that growth happens in the discomfort.
That normalization of confusion again.
Yes, we are wired to avoid confusion. It feels bad. It feels unsafe. But this source proves that confusion is just the sound of your brain building new architecture.
Right.
If you understand everything perfectly, you aren't learning. You're just revealing what you already know.
That's a powerful thought. If you're comfortable, you're stagnant.
Exactly. And the second takeaway is that small daily doses rule. We tend to overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we can do in a month of small steps.
Consistency beats intensity.
Every single time. You can't cram a skill. You can cram facts, maybe, but you can't cram a skill.
And finally, the idea of safety. You need to lower the stakes to raise the performance.
Whether it's Alex and Sophia being warm and encouraging, or just you being kinder to yourself when you make a mistake, anxiety is the enemy of acquisition. If you're beating yourself up, you are not learning.
So here's a question for everyone listening to mull over as you go about your day. We talked about how confusion is a sign of growth. So look at your current projects, your job, your hobbies, your skills. Are you feeling a little confused?
Are you in the deep end at all?
Because if you aren't, if everything is easy and clear, maybe you need to find a way to turn off the subtitles.
And step into the noise.
Thanks for diving in with us today. We hope this helps you tune your own radio a little better.
See you next time.